We have a lot to cover in this video. Yeah, I know Doors Floor 2 has been out for over a month at this point, but the developers are starting to come back from vacation and are already getting some more work done for future updates on the game, presumably working on the Mines Plus update at the moment, as we've just gotten word from the community that there's quite a bit of new news to report from the developers themselves, as well as new leaks that was discovered within the community that may reveal a new entity. 6,000 likes and subs on the video, and I'll ask the devs to release the entity right now. First, let's catch up on some new leaks that the developers have confirmed about over on Twitter X. Splash ended up replying to even more players within the community that does hint at some new features coming to the game, one of which a player did ask whether or not the developers were going to be adding in a stats option into Doors so you can see how many times you beat the game and how many entities you've run into. To which Splash mentioned that they will be adding stats in some way soon. We've already tracked them from the beginning. The only issue is we failed to track the most important stat, floor escapes. So it looks like since day one, the developers have been tracking our stats within the game secretly, as they were able to finally add this feature into the game soon, especially since some of us have been waiting for years for this particular feature to be confirmed. Another player also asked if Splash and the developer team are planning to develop other Doors content that is similar to the rooms and Backdoors, or if they're going to put all their attention and energy on developing the third floor of Doors, to which the developer said that they are currently on break, but when they do come back, why not both? So it seems like after a nice long break, the developers will be hard at work once again, not only just working on floor 3 and the mines, but also putting some work into the rooms and potentially the back doors as well. Splash also ended up getting some questions that does confirm a couple things that may be a bit sad for some players. First of which, a player simply asked when Doors Floor 2 modifiers will come to the game, especially since modifiers were removed a couple weeks ago as they were only intended to be played on floor 1, to which the developer stated, "Don't expect them too soon." Okay, makes sense. The update did get released just over a month ago at this point, so we shouldn't expect modifiers or anything major for floor 2 anytime soon, probably giving a timeline of about 2 to 5 months before we see anything big. Another source of major news does come from this one tweet asking whether or not the Backdoors will ever get any modifiers, or if there are any ways to keep the modifiers when going across floors, to which the developer said, "No! The Backdoors is meant to not have any modifiers at all. It's just going to stay as a simple yet short subfloor, and that is it. No modifiers will ever be considered for the floor at all." But we also did have some interesting news going forward, especially when a player within the community asked if they were thinking of making the figure to have a bigger role in the future compared to what they had in floor 2. And all Splash posted was a zipped mouth emoji. Now obviously this emoji does have big significance, leading us to think that the figure will have more of a bigger role, especially possibly within floor 3, as you can see more of their festering meat right outside of the castle. It's still too early to really predict anything major, but maybe you guys may have some good thoughts in the comments. Now, this was an interesting response coming from Reddables, as a player within the community asked if given the opportunity, would they ever make a Doors TV series or movie? And this of course comes from that viral Doors Netflix trailer that was created several months ago, to which the developer said the game itself is the story and we wouldn't ever be able to make a TV series or movie because using the gameplay as the medium for the story is just better. And I guess that makes sense, especially since you probably wouldn't be able to experience or feel the game much simply by watching it, but it is sad that we may not get a Doors movie in the future, though I do bet it would have been a cool concept. Now with all the new news and confirmations out of the way, it's time for the juicy leak we've promised. There's been some news circling around the community amongst other Doors channels that a new entity has been leaked and is coming to the game relatively soon. Yuri TV was one of the first channels to showcase this new entity leak, and if we do look up that same exact asset ID code, we can get more information about the model, including that the entity codename is currently known as Wade. Now, Cheddarballs once again did a really great job at explaining everything going on to say that this entity appears to be a mix between a slug and an alligator, and based on the name of the model asset itself, it seems that this could be a new entity that would be found within the flooded caverns of the mines, as in quote-unquote wades within the depths of the water. Now, taking a closer look at the entity's foot does show that the entity will contain some webbed feet, and if you do a quick Google search, well, it helps creatures to swim much more faster and efficiently, which does go with the name of this entity very well, as we should expect to see them within some sort of water features. You can also notice that the entity does have eyes that stem outside from their head, and this could probably be used in order to look above the water surface if it's currently not too deep, though please do note these are just big assumptions. Now, it is interesting to see that these models were created several days before the release of Doors Floor 2, as Cheddarballs once again did state that the developers usually do these entity models last when it comes to the updates, so perhaps this Wade entity ended up getting the boot for some reason just several days before the update was released? It could be very possible. I mean, imagine the entity during the release of Doors Floor 2 and having to deal with all the giggles and perhaps even rush all at the same time. It would just be Floor 2, but in literal impossible mode. Now, some people were saying that it could be for Floor 3, but it really doesn't make any sense why the developers would be creating these models that far out, but we did notice in the past that the developers are working on something similar to the Mines Plus update coming out in the near future, so that may be a more likely explanation of the creation for this asset model. It's also important to note that this could actually also come out for the new supposed subfloor due to the collaboration between Roblox Doors and Tales of Tonario, and speaking about that, we did end up getting another leaked photo of the new collaboration between the Tales of Tonario and Roblox Doors. TOT for short ended up posting this screenshot just a couple days ago saying, "What can I get started for you today?" It features a big blue ghost-like entity wearing a skull mask, and you can also notice some items sitting in the background, such as medicine bottles. So it appears that this entity will become a shop owner for a possible new subfloor once this partnership rolls out. But are you excited for the new entity? Like and subscribe and take care.